All right, everybody, welcome into the High Noon stream, the first of two streams that we do every day here on the Radio Misfits podcast platform. The second stream, that's called Pillow Talk. That comes on at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. That's Pugs and Parker. That's myself, hi, Pugs Moran, and James Parker. Pugs and Parker proudly present Pillow Talk on the Radio Misfits podcast platform. That's 9 o'clock every night. This one is noon every day or thereabouts. A little bit late today. I apologize. Summer hours. I told you people weeks ago. I warned you people weeks ago that summer hours were going to get a little bit hinky. That sometimes shows we're going to run a little short. Sometimes we might get started a little bit later. It's fine. We're getting them done. We're knocking them out. We're still here. You're still here. Everything's fine. Hi, Byron. Byron's here. Al's here. John's here. April's here. So this is High Noon. Let me see if I can get in here. Hold on a second. I am having a little bit of difficulty with the internet in this particular spot. I moved the room around, the studio around. There we go. That's what I need. I moved the studio around recently, kind of like reallocated space for out here in the Comfort Nest Guest Lounge where I reside. And the internet has just been weird now. I don't know. We're fine. Don't worry about it. We're not going to get all twisted. High Noon, that's what this show is. What do we do on this show? We tell you everything you need to know about today. We tell you the history of today. We tell you about people celebrating birthdays today. We tell you about people we've lost today. We go through a national calendar that gives you all kinds of stupid shit about today. And then we go into what's trending. Then we go into the current events, the meat and potatoes, the bones, the glue that holds it all together for today's show. We tell you everything that is trending, every headline, any hot topic. If it's something people are buzzing about, something people are talking about, we'll discuss it here on the show that you'll have sort of a little Cliff Notes idea of what it's all about. All right, so let's get into what today is. Oh, also, you can tip the show. We appreciate that. The show runs on your gratuities. Down there at the bottom of the screen, you'll see a way to participate through Venmo, through Cash App. Hell, even PayPal is there. PayPal's a little difficult, but whatever you got to do, it doesn't matter. We appreciate your tips. We appreciate your gratuities. And thank you. That's all for that for now. Let's get into what today is. It is High Noon, the 29th day of June, year of our Lord 2022. June 29th is... Okay, I thought I could remember it. I can't. It is the 180th day of the year. There are 185 more days till the end of the year. So as we like to say, get those New Year's Eve plans started. On this day in 1620, typically we don't go all the way back. Oh, you know what? I should do the National Day calendar first, right? Instead of just starting out with what happened on this day in history. Hold on a second. Today is the 29th. All right, so don't give me... I don't know. I'm having an issue with the National Day calendar now. And I don't understand why. Anyway, you know what? That's all we needed. We've been talking about getting rid of the National Day calendar. I don't need to be a part of the National Day calendar. Let's see. Hold on, wait. If it can be fixed with a click, maybe we're back in. Maybe we're back in on the National Day calendar. I don't know. No, I don't know. I don't know what today is. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Let's get into the other stuff. I've told you the last couple of days that I'm starting to get to. We used to do a thing called a moment of joy at the start of the show. I tired of that. I was like, I'm feeling the same way about the National Day calendar. We're gonna get rid of the National Day calendar. It doesn't mean anything. It's just a big waste of time. Let's go through what happened on this day in history and why this day, the 29th day of June. It is the 29th, right? Do I have that right? Ugh. Do you know I've done that before, you guys? I've done entire shows. I've put entire shows together thinking it's the wrong day. But it's like I'll put a show together for the 30th when it's only the 29th. Yeah, that's happened. It's happened. On this day in 1620, the English crown bans tobacco growing in England, giving the Virginia Company a monopoly in exchange for tax of 1 shilling per pound. All right, look at it. That's the whole reason that we revote. This kind of bullshit. Imagine this. The King of England told everybody in England, you can't grow tobacco anymore. Hey, you You who've been in the tobacco business for 100 years, your family's been growing tobacco here, fine English tobacco. I don't know. It doesn't even grow there. Whatever. You can't grow it anymore, he said. And then he goes, hey, you dudes over there in the new colonies, you guys grow a whole bunch of tobacco. I'll just grow all the tobacco. And you'll give me like $1 a pound. What a scam. What a scam. On this day in 1620, that went down. On this day we're going to skip ahead to the important stuff. On this day in 1952, the first Miss Universe pageant is held. Armi Kusela from Finland wins the title of Miss Universe 1952. Well, now I want to see who she, right? Don't you want to see what Miss Universe 1952 looked like? Let's see if we can't. All right, here we go. What's her name? I'm gonna do it by her name, so we are certain to get the proper person. All right, God, there we go. There she is. All right. All right. So this is 1952. So this is the very first Miss Universe. This is what the very first Miss Universe looked like. This is Miss Universe in 1952. Let me tell you something. I skipped ahead and I looked at some of the other pictures of her later in life. She got better looking. Not that there's anything. I mean, she's Miss. Oh, really? Miss Universe got better. Well, I mean, I think what I'm trying to point out is that she doesn't look that great. This is 1952's Miss Universe. She doesn't look that great to me. I'm not all that. But there are pictures of her like in the 70s where she's like a woman in her 40s and she was looking very good. She was a good looking woman. All right, there you have it. That's it. All right. I'm satiated. No, not satiated. Whatever. That was 1952. In 1956, on this very day, the Federal Aid Highway Act of 1956 is signed by President Dwight David Eisenhower, officially creating the United States interstate highway system. You guys ever look? There are so many things, and I notice this now as a father of a 13-year-old. There is so much that he takes for granted. There is just so much that he is able to do at 13 years old in the year 2022 that you and me, we couldn't do. We were his age. We didn't have that kind of access, convenience, or whatever. So he takes these things for granted. And I often think, I'm like, I bet you there's a whole bunch of stuff that I take for granted. And I often try and think of them like, I wonder what is it that I take for granted that maybe my grandparents or even my parents, they didn't have. And I never given any thought. Well, I'll tell you one, the interstate highway system. That's for one. If it was 1930 and you were trying to drive between Dallas and Los Angeles, here come the hiccups. Have you any idea what that drive would have been like? Why are the hiccups coming? I theorized yesterday that I think that the hiccups that I'm starting to get early on in the shows here, I think that they stem from the fact that I don't say anything to anybody ever all day long. And then I sit down and I start blah, blah, blah. And my whole rhythm goes, wait, what? This is different? Okay, hiccup time. I hate it. They go away. You know, we've been here. We should create a game. You should be able to bet in the chat room on how long until the first hiccup. Because there will be a hiccup just about every show now. A hiccup will come at some point. Oh, no, now it's making noises. I don't know. I know you're all looking at me and going, hey, you look like the Fonz right now, all cool, calm, and collected. But inside, I am pissed. I'm so tired of these hiccups. Yeah? Screw you. There's so much good to get into today. So anyway, the high, you know what? The only way to beat them is to just barrel through them. I'm sorry. Yeah, there should be a drinking game out. There should be something. I'm thinking maybe you could bet. Maybe there could be odds. Maybe we can count the hiccups, like over, under 10 hiccups. That might be a fun little parlor game we can get into. I'll tell you what, the next time I have my first hiccup, we're going to play that game, okay? So now the hiccups will no longer be a distraction to this show. They will actually be incorporated and a much beloved part of the show. And look at this. Now my hiccups are gone. Fuck you, hiccups. All right. The Federal Highway Act was signed on this day in 1956. Man, that is one of those things. We take the highways for granted. They didn't always exist. 1956, they went, hey, wouldn't it be cool if there were just roads that connected everything that was far away from each other, that didn't have a bunch of stoplights and stop signs and train crossings and nonsense? That was the idea. They said, let's just create these like tubes. People can go really fast on them and they can get long distance in shorter periods of time. Brilliant. That is a relatively recent idea. 1956. 1956. Somebody said it should be easier to get from New York City to Los Angeles via car. And they created the federal highway system. Something we take for granted, I think. On this day in 1974, Mikhail Baryshnikov defects from the Soviet Union to Canada while on tour with the Kirov Ballet. Mikhail Baryshnikov. This was a thing when I was a little kid. It was like it was almost like winning a prize in the Cold War raffle. You know, from time to time these people would defect, and the best of my knowledge, it was never the other way. Right? Nobody ever left New Jersey to go live in Moscow, right? To work in a toilet paper factory or something. I don't. But people, if you were like of some note, if you were of some celebrity in Russia or in the Soviet Union during the 1970s, you started like you started jumping ship. People were all over Europe, a bunch of ballerinas. Okay, maybe that's it. Maybe a gymnast. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. But I guess now that I think about it, it was really just ballerinas. Just a bunch of. So there's this guy, there's Baryshnikov. He was a big one. But then there was another one. Wasn't there like a Boris Godunov or something? I don't know. Wasn't there another one? I thought so. I don't know. Anyway, that happened on this day in 1974. Mikhail Baryshnikov defects from the Soviet Union to Canada. Canada. That's another thing I don't think that I quite recalled from 1974 when I was 5 years old and maybe just tangentially experiencing this story. I don't remember it was Canada. Thought it was here. It was the West. At any rate, the West. There you go. So we won that day's Cold War raffle. Let's see. On this day in 2007. Okay, so this is the last one that we'll do in the history of today. I talked about stuff that my kid takes for granted, stuff that we had when we were, or we did not have when we were younger, that kids have now, and they just think always existed. And boy, how could there have been a world before on-demand SpongeBob, right? This is probably on this day, probably, and I'm going to search for the proper word. Significant is probably the one I'm most comfortable with. I don't know if important, maybe most important thing ever invented. I don't know. Certainly the most significant advance in humanity. Oh, what did he say? The most significant advance. Well, certainly insofar as how we relate to one another, how we coexist with one another. Yeah, I would say that it has made contributions to humanity, good, bad, or neutral, that cannot be denied. On this day in 2007, Apple released its first mobile phone, the iPhone. The iPhone, ladies and gentlemen, on this day in 2007. That is, so, I mean, maybe you see now why I struggle with the most important. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I guess it's import is subjective to people. Like, is the cell phone, is the iPhone as important to my son at 13 as it is to someone? I don't know. It's important. Significant. I mean, nothing changed. Nothing. I'm telling you, there is a world. I used to say that there was a world that I existed in before the internet and after the internet. And that's probably the larger view of it. But if you really wanted to boil down to it, man, there was a world before we all had iPhones and the world after. And it is different. It's just different. It is incrementally different. It's different enough to be irritating. But man, on the 2007, the iPhone, that is crazy. That really, ooh. Let's get into some birthdays. Some people celebrating birthdays today. We'll start right out here with a big one for me. Born on this day in 1930, Robert Evans, ladies and gentlemen. Who's Robert Evans? Don't even get me started with who's Robert Evans. Robert Evans was what was known as a super producer. Films, Hollywood big shot, Hollywood ran a studio, back. He's considered the last great studio president, Robert Evans. Famously, actually, if you've been watching the new Paramount series, The Offer, Robert Evans is one of the stars. Well, not Robert Evans. The person we're talking about right now is a character in The Offer. Matthew Good, I believe, plays Robert Evans in The Offer. It's really great. I love Robert Evans. Robert Evans, towards the end of his life, he's dead now. He died a couple of years ago. Robert Evans, towards the end of his life, decided to get on Twitter. Apparently, he was staying up late at night. I was staying up late at night. It's a verified Robert Evans account. I mean, it's Robert Evans, and he would just start prattling on about stories, just old Hollywood stories from the 70s. I remember when I ran into McQueen at the Superdog. It was like stuff like that. Like, ooh, what happened when you ran into Steve McQueen at the Superdog? Because we all know that Steve McQueen stole your wife, Ally McGraw. He would tweet about that stuff. And I became friends with him on Twitter. And we had a whole bunch of back and forth tweet things. I'm fully convinced it was him. It was verified. I don't know. And he said that he couldn't sleep, and the Twitter seemed like a fun thing for a bored old man, and so he got on Twitter, and then he died. He died like 9 months later, right after getting on Twitter. Here's what I think. I think Robert Evans and I think we had a connection. I think he was a dying old man, and he decided to play on Twitter at 4:00 in the morning. And me and, I don't know, maybe 100,000 other people, because people just flocked to his account because he was awesome. I don't know. But anyway, happy birthday, Robert Evans. You were a character. Robert Evans draft. Oh, you're damn right. We're going to do a Robert Evans draft just so you folks get a full and fair picture of the contribution to not just American culture, but global culture that this man has made. First of all, in the first pick in the Robert Evans super producer draft, we're going a bit off board. This is weird. This is like taking a kicker with the first overall pick in an NFL draft, and it's not done, but we're doing it here because these are extenuating circumstances. Thank you. The first pick in the Robert Evans draft is going to go to the documentary, The Kid Stays in the Picture. If you have never seen the documentary, The Kid Stays in the Picture, I love documentaries. Documentaries are probably my favorite form. If you tell me there's a really good documentary about a subject I'm interested in, I will watch that before I'll watch any scripted dramatic thing. I love a good documentary. But I'm also very, there's a lot of bullshit documentary, like these docuseries and stuff. A lot of that stuff is just nonsense. The greatest documentary that I have ever seen in my life, my favorite documentary that I've ever seen, is The Kid Stays in the Picture. And The Kid Stays in the Picture, that's what it's called. The Kid Stays in the Picture. That's the name of the movie. The Kid Stays in the Picture is the documentary about the career of Robert Evans. And trust me, you have to see this. This guy was crazy. Every over-the-top depiction of a Hollywood studio executive you've ever seen performed by a comedian is in some way, shape, or form based on something the real Robert Evans did at some point in his life. You gotta see this guy. He was cool. He was handsome. He was the sharpest wit in the room at all times, and he was a shark. And he knew what we wanted to see at the movies. So let's continue on with the Robert Evans draft today. His birthday, born on this day in 1930. The Kid Stays in the Picture. The documentary about the life of Robert Evans is the first pick. The second pick, how could it not be? The Godfather. The Godfather. The film The Godfather goes in the second round of the Robert Evans draft. Chinatown. Chinatown. Robert Towns, Jack Nicholson. Oh, Chinatown got his nose cut off. Oh, incest. The water shortage in 1930s California. Crazy. Chinatown with the third pick. With the fourth pick in the Robert Evans draft, Black Sunday. Yeah, that's right. Black Sunday. That movie where terrorists took a blimp and tried to blow up the Super Bowl. Remember that movie? Black Sunday. Black Sunday. The Super Bowl wasn't even that big of a deal when Black Sunday was made, but Robert Evans knew that the Super Bowl was going to be a big deal in a couple of years. Black Sunday. Come on. Everybody from the 80s, every little boy who grew up in the 1970s watching late night TV, you saw that movie Black Sunday where the blimp crashes into the LA Coliseum during a Super Bowl. All right, Black Sunday. With the fifth pick in the Robert Evans super producer draft on This Is Birthday, we here at the High Noon Show are selecting Urban Cowboy. Urban Cowboy. That's right. So the picks again. Kid stays in the picture at number 1. The Godfather at number 2. Chinatown at number 3. Black Sunday at number 4. Urban Cowboy at number 5. And this completes our Robert Evans tribute. Let's see here. Adam points out that it is no longer Black Sunday. It is African American. I thought it was People of Color Sunday. I think that sounds a little bit more in tune with 2022 sensibilities. Also celebrating a birthday today, 1944, Gary Busey. Gary Busey. We interviewed Gary Busey a number of times, and he's a freaky guy, man. Gary Busey. Really, Pugs? Going out on a limb there, saying that the well-noted lunatic Gary Busey, he's just weird. He creeped me. It wasn't even fun weird. It was like, it was bad energy. He had bad energy. He had bad, negative, I'm a weird guy energy. Like, it was just, happy birthday, Gary Busey. Hope you got that energy problem turned around. Born on this day in 1947, Richard Lewis. I was talking to Parker last night. I've started re-binging old episodes of Curb Your Enthusiasm, of which Richard Lewis is a regular. Richard Lewis plays Richard Lewis in Curb Your Enthusiasm because Larry David plays Larry David in Curb Your Enthusiasm. Happy birthday, Richard Lewis. I want to say I was like maybe a Richard Lewis fan for about 5 years between like 1986 and 1991. And then I just kind of went, yeah, and then when you go back and watch old Richard Lewis stand up, it doesn't really hold up. It's weird. It's weird because, well, anyway, the other thing I'll say about Richard Lewis as we move on to the next birthday today, he looks so old. On Curb Your Enthusiasm, Richard Lewis and Larry David are the same age, and they're supposed to be best friends. Well, I guess in real life they are really close to being best friends. But they pal around together, and Richard Lewis seems like he's 15 years older than Larry David, and they're the same age. Richard Lewis was an alcoholic, though, and he did a lot of drugs in the 70s. Maybe that's what it does to the body. Larry David was never like that. Larry David was never like a drugger or a boozer or a big partier or anything like that. And here he is, 75 years old, and he's spry, and he's, maybe there's a lesson for you. I don't know. We'll see. Also born on this day in 1948, Fred Grandy, American actor and politician. Fred Grandy, Gopher from The Love Boat. Boy, he had it figured out. He was a young man. He wasn't intimidatingly handsome, but he was like doable. You know what I mean? Like he was like good looking enough where girls were like, oh, he's so cute. He's doable. And then when you add that he's Gopher on Love Boat, it turns into a whole kink thing. But anyway, Fred Grandy did fine by himself. He then, I guess what? He didn't want to be Radar from MASH. He didn't want to be Gilligan from Gilligan's Island. He didn't want to be Gopher, so he got out of acting and he went into politics, and then he became a congressman. Fred Grant, but I don't know that he was congressman for all that long. I don't know what he's doing now. Hey, what do you think Gopher's doing now? Let's see. Hold on. It's his birthday. Let's see what Gopher's doing now. Look at Gopher. There's a picture of him. He's like all 60, but it's still Gopher. What's he doing? Okay. Political career. Here we go. Let's see. Grandy served as president and CEO of Goodwill Industries International. All right. He later became a political commentator for National Public Radio, NPR, and served as a visiting professor teaching a course on nonprofit organizations at the School of Public Affairs, University of Maryland. All right. All right. So Gopher's getting around. Gopher's doing his thing. Grandy was also the host of a show on Retirement Living TV. What's that? Is that like a network that just goes to like retirement homes? Oh, that's an idea. That's an idea. If that's not a thing, I think it is a thing. I think I'm reading about it being a thing. But if it wasn't a thing, I just had a great idea. That was already a thing. See how that happens? See how that happens? That happens all the time. All right. Happy birthday, Gopher. Fred Grandy celebrating a birthday today. Who else has a birthday today? Here's a sad one. Craig Sager. Craig's American sportscaster. He died back in 2016. TNT basketball. Craig Sager. That's a shame. Born on this day in 1953, Don Dokken. American singer, songwriter, and guitarist. Born on this day in 1953, Colin Hay. Scottish Australian singer and guitarist. Who can it be now? Right? Isn't that him? Isn't that Colin Hay? Isn't he Men at Work? Well, what other songs did Men at Work have? I come from a London, or is that the same as Who Can It Be now? No, those are two different songs. I don't know, whatever. They had a bunch of hits. They had like 6 hits in a row. I can't name them. I mean, I can't even distinguish between two of them. I thought they were the same song. But you know what I'm saying? They were big for a while. Men at Work. There you go. Also celebrating a birthday on this day, Melora Hardin. Melora Hardin, born on this day in 1967. Now, you may not know the name Melora Hardin, but I will tell you, as a devotee of the American version of The Office, I love the American version of The Office. Don't come at me with your British version is superior. I've seen them both. The British version is terrific. The American version is better. I'm sorry. It just is. It's better. Anyway, whenever I get into my deep, usually beer is involved, conversations about The Office and its importance to culture, I always take a moment to talk about Melora Hardin. Melora Hardin's role in The Office, especially in the early to mid seasons, the role couldn't have been portrayed by anyone better. The role couldn't have been more crucial to the development of, and of course, I'm talking about Melora Hardin played Jan. She played Jan on The Office, Michael's girlfriend that none of us could figure out why she was with him. Why would she marry Jan, Sleepy, one of the most important characters in the entire Office universe. She is a linchpin character that drives so much of that show. So much of it. She doesn't even have to be in a scene. She doesn't have to be in an episode. She can miss 5 episodes in a row. And the shit that she did to Michael is causing the entire narrative of the season. She's just Jan, Sleepy important. Loved her. God, I thought she was hysterical. Man, that woman had some things going on. The character of Jan in The Office. Those of you who don't know The Office, Jan was this executive at Dunder Mifflin. She worked in New York, corner office. She's a big, important person, regional manager. One of her subordinates was Michael Scott, Steve Carell, the central character of the show The Office. They work in the office at the Dunder Mifflin paper company there in Scranton. Jan was his boss. Jan was a ball breaker. Jan was a glass ceiling shatterer, New York woman, sexy, beautiful, smart. And then she fell in love with the biggest idiot on the planet. No one could figure it out. And it turns out it's because she wasn't all right in the head. Jan had a whole bunch of things going on. Love it. Happy birthday, Melora Hardin. You are awesome. Also born on this day in 1976, Bret McKenzie. You don't know who Bret McKenzie is, but you do know who what's his Jermaine Clement is. Jermaine Clement. Do you know who Jermaine Clement is? Jermaine Clement and Bret McKenzie were the flying Flight of the Conchords. They were a parody rock band. Two guys with acoustic guitars singing silly songs, brilliant songs, funny songs. Had an HBO series. The HBO series was incredible. And then Hollywood decided that Jermaine Clement was going to be a big movie star, and they made Jermaine Clement a big star. And Brett McKenzie is kind of just sitting there with his guitar strumming it. He is almost like the Kyle Gass of the Jack Black, Kyle Gass, Tenacious D pairing. See, Jack Black, Tenacious D, same thing, got an HBO show. It was two guys, and then all of a sudden Hollywood decided only one of those guys was going to be the one that was going to become the big star, and that was Jack Black. Kyle Gass, we see him sometimes, but he hasn't really done much. Same thing for Brett McKenzie. But happy birthday to you, Brett McKenzie, born on this day in 1976, born on this day in 1982. Another dude living a charmed life, Colin Jost. Colin Jost. You want to know what a charmed bullshit life old Colin Jost is leading? Well, I'll tell you what kind of a charmed bullshit life Colin Jost is leading. Colin Jost is leading such a charmed bullshit life that despite all the road signs screaming at me what I need to know and what I already know, I still like the guy. I shouldn't like the guy. He comes from money. He's smart. He's got an Ivy League education. He's attractive. He's fun. Did I mention he's funny? He's really funny. He's funny. He's smart. He's attractive. He comes from money. He not only comes from money, he comes from some degree of like elitist privilege that just typically, now I know he's from Staten Island. Yeah, but there are wealthy neighborhoods on Staten Island, dude. Okay, just so you know. I know Staten Island has this whole thing, especially if we're from Illinois or Texas. We think Staten Island, we think of smokestacks and like the mob. But no, there are nice places in Staten Island. Doctors live on Staten Island. Okay, that's all I'm going to say. And I believe that's what Colin Jost's parents are. I think they were both doctors or whatever it was. I don't know, something like that. There's something there. Yet despite all of that, despite all of those things that I typically would hold against an individual and mark them for pay no mind list, I like Colin Jost. Can't help it. I like it. I even approved, when he hooked up with Scarlett Johansson, I'll admit, just like everybody else, I was a little bit of gagged because, Scarlett is my girl and I'm very protective over who Scarlett's hooking up with. Don't want no more of that nonsense like the last couple of go-rounds. And Colin Jost came into the picture, and you know what? Even though I had all this information about why I should dislike Colin Jost, I was like, you know what? Fine, go for it. You go ahead. You seem like you'll be nice to her. Happy birthday, Colin Jost. Dead. Got a bunch of deaths on this day. Dead on this day in 1967. Typically, I don't go back to anybody who died before I was born. But this is an interesting one. Jane Mansfield died on this day in 1967. Do you know who Jane Mansfield was? Jane Mansfield was kind of, so like Marilyn Monroe popped, like she became like a big star, and then Hollywood went, get me a hot blonde. And then they just went and got like all of these hot. Jane Mansfield may even have predated Marilyn, maybe. I don't know. Probably not. But at any rate, Jane Mansfield became sort of like the Pepsi to Marilyn Monroe's Coke. Marilyn Monroe was Coke, and then, you couldn't get Coke, so sorry, is Pepsi going to be okay? Sure, Jane Mansfield is fine. Jane Mansfield became a movie star, and she died. She died in a car accident real prematurely. It was her and her husband, I want to say. And she I don't know. Like, I think this is a story. I think this is a Hollywood story time. Okay. You could probably look like, okay, so she was in a car accident. She got decapitated. Like in front of her daughter. Like her daughter was in the car. Like in Jane Mansfield's head landed on this is like one of them Hollywood stories. I don't know if this is true or not. I have no idea. This is just, us girls talking here. So Jane Mansfield gets decapitated and her head lands in her daughter's lap. Oh my God. And that daughter grew up to be Mariska Hargitay from the Law and Order SVUs. You know that chick? She's been on like SVU, Law and Order, whatever. Mariska Hargitay. She's been on those shows for like 20, 25 years. That's her thing. She's like a big star off of that stuff. And supposedly, according to Hollywood rumor, well, her mom was, not supposedly, her mom was definitely Jane Mansfield, and her dad was Mickey Hargitay. That's why her name is Mariska Hargitay. They were her parents, but whether or not she was in the car and the head landed on her lap, that's the part, that's the part I'm not sure about. God, could you imagine? I know, April. I know. Rob Barr says the low bumper on trailers is called a Mansfield bar. Is that true? Is that true, Rob? Because that's crazy. That's wow. Okay, they call it the man. Apparently, that's how Jane Mansfield died on this day in 1967. Died on this day in 1978. Hogan, Bob Crane, Hogan's Heroes. How did he die? Because if you remember, he had himself a life, boy. He was into amateur porn production 30 years before amateur porn production was a thing. How did he die? Let's see here. Oh, he was murdered. He was murdered? What? Oh, that's right. I guess that's kind of the whole point of the movie, right? Now that I think about it. Colonel Hogan, because that's what we're going to call him. Hogan! Colonel Hogan frequently videotaped and photographed his own sexual escapades. Hogan. During the run of Hogan's Heroes, Richard Dawson introduced him to John Henry Carpenter, a regional sales manager for Sony Electronics, who often helped famous clients with their video equipment. Celebrities were like hiding camera. Oh, celebs like all the way back. Richard Dawson hooking up Bob Crane with a stealthy video guy, John Carpenter. In June of 1978, Crane was living in the Winfield Place Apartments in Scottsdale, Arizona, during a run of Beginner's Luck at the Windmill Dinner Theater. Oh, Bob Crane. Oh, think about that. All right, so you're Bob Crane. You're Hogan, right? You're Hogan's Heroes. That was a big show. You're famous. And then like 10 years later, you're living in a funky apartment doing dinner theater in Scottsdale, Arizona. Oh, Hogan! Oh, my God. Yeah, I could see how that could be, especially since, as I recall, before he was Hogan on Hogan's Heroes, he was like a really talented broadcaster. He was a radio guy in Los Angeles he got his shot on TV because TV people were like listening to him on the radio going, this guy's really good. Man, it sounds... let's see here. In June of 78, Crane was living in the Winfield Place Apartments in Scottsdale during a run of Beginner's Luck at the Windmill Dinner Theater. On the afternoon of June the 29th, hey, that's today, his co-star, Victoria Ann Barry, entered his apartment after he failed to show up for a lunch meeting and discovered his body. Crane had been bludgeoned with a weapon that was never identified, though investigators believe it to be a camera tripod. An electrical cord had been tied around his neck. Crane's funeral was held at St. Paul's in Westwood, Los Angeles, blah, blah, blah. Some celebrities who attended, Patty and John Duke. Or no, Patty Duke and John Aston. Archie Bunker was there. Who else was there? I don't know any of these people. Not a great big turnout for old Hogan's funeral. He was murdered on this day. He was into some stuff, man. He was into some stuff, and I think his life was tail spinning. Imagine that. 10 years earlier, you're Hogan on Hogan's Heroes. Hogan was cool. Hogan was awesome. And then 10 years later, you're like, it's June. You're in like a shitty corporate apartment. And they weren't even corporate apartments back then. They were just like places the dudes let you lived in. So there was no like standard that they had to, meet. It was just, ugh. So he's living in a funky apartment in June in Arizona doing dinner theater. And he's Hogan. Oh, and all the people are coming to see him. And he knows that they're not just coming to see him do whatever it is that they're doing. They're coming to stare at him. They're coming to stare at him and wonder what the hell happened. That's what old Hogan was living with. He was living with that kind of shit, man. Woo. All right, so he died on this day. Hogan! Bob Crane died on this day in 1978. Died on this day in 1995. Lana Turner. Don't know who she is. Here's what I do know. Fabulous babe. Seen pictures of her. She's an actress, right? Is she an actress, or was she just one of those people that became famous because she was attractive during wartime? I don't know. That's a thing. That's the thing. People became, like how now we have like Instagram models who become famous just because they're Instagram. Before there was Instagram, there were just hot chicks being painted on the side of bombers. They used to paint. They used to see like dudes would see a hot chick, get a picture of her, and then just paint a picture of a hot chick on a bomber, and they became famous. And there's a whole bunch of people. There's a whole bunch of women who were famous, had careers in the 40s and the 50s, based on the fact that they were nothing more than someone who was painted on the side of a bomber. Who's like a famous one for that? Isn't Betty Page? Wasn't she like one of the real famous ones? I think Betty Grable was another one. There's a lot of Bettys involved. I don't know. All right, who else died? Lana Turner died. No, and I'm not saying, I think Lana Turner was a legit actress too, by the way. I don't mean that she was one of those. I think Lana Turner was a legit actress. I'm just not sure. Rosemary Clooney died on this day in 2002. Who's that? Well, she's George Clooney's aunt. George Clooney was just a kid in Kentucky, and he wanted to go to Hollywood. This is what I always say. You show me somebody who's been successful in Hollywood, and I will show you a non-traditional leg up that person had. Whether it's their family is wealthy and they get a trust fund so they don't have to wait tables and they can go on every audition so that they're doing 10 times the amount of auditions as other people. Therefore, just by numbers, the likelihood of them being discovered goes up exponentially. So there's that. And then there's like George Clooney. George Clooney was just a dude in Kentucky, I want to say. His dad, Nick Clooney, was a television news guy, so he did have some stature in the area, like he was the son of the TV news guy. So that's something. But he didn't have like that juice didn't translate to Hollywood. But he did have an aunt, Rosemary, who was a famous singer and entertainer in Hollywood. And so he moved out. George Clooney moved out and lived with his aunt, Rosemary Clooney, for years and years. And he didn't have to work. And he was kind of like her houseboy. And he met all of the people from that era. George Clooney, hanging out with Jack Lemmon and Cary Grant, stuff like that. Little 20-year-old George Clooney. It's a leg up, okay? A little bit. You're going to run into people. You're going to get invitations to auditions that maybe another guy wouldn't get because he wasn't standing by his aunt's pool talking to Daryl Zanuck. It's just that kind of thing. But anyway, Rosemary Clooney, George Clooney's aunt, died on this day in 2000. Gravy Train ended in 2002, George. He had already established himself by 2002, so he was fine. But still, there you go. Katharine Hepburn died today on this day in 2003. She's a big one. One of my easily in my top 3 favorite actresses of all time. I thought she was funny. I thought she was cool. I thought she was badass. Katharine Hepburn we're talking about. By the way, of my top 3, there are 2 Hepburns in my top 3 favorite actresses of all time, and they're not related. Yeah, because Audrey Hepburn's in there too. I love her. Oh God, is she adorable. Anyway, Katharine Hepburn, no relation to Audrey Hepburn. Katharine Hepburn, she might have been gay. She might have been a lesbian. She might have been a big old lesbian her entire life, and she could never really be a big old lesbian. It was always just rumored. The stories are that she had the reason she never married, or maybe she did marry, but it was for 6 months in 1952. You know what I mean? I don't know. But the reason that she never found her love because her great love was Spencer Tracy. She loved Spencer Tracy, and Spencer Tracy was a devout Catholic who was already married, and so they couldn't be together officially. So Kate Hepburn decided that she was going to stay chaste. No, she didn't. Here are the stories, and there's enough of them now from people who saw it with their own eyes that I believe it. She was gay. Spencer Tracy was gay. They were friends. They used each other as cover. Boom. End of story. That's how it worked. Spencer Tracy was gay? Come on. Of course he's gay. Every guy. All right, maybe not gay. Well, let me take a breath here. Let me take a breath. Maybe not as far as their sexual orientation. Maybe they didn't. Okay, but if you were a man in America during the Great Depression, and you decided that you wanted to be an actor, okay? You weren't exactly somebody who was, in the alpha male category, right? You weren't. You just weren't. You didn't. Well, so when you tell me Spencer Tracy was gay, yeah, probably. Probably because while everybody else was fighting a war and, the Great Depression and all that kind of stuff, he was doing mime stuff in a field in Kansas. I have no doubt that there was probably something a little bit off about just about every dude, except I guess John Wayne. Who knows? All right, moving on. Katharine Hepburn died on this day in 2003. Died on this day in 2020. Here we go. Here's a run of two people. The next two people that I'm going to tell you about who died, I didn't even know died. This is like, I saw this morning and I felt, what? I got to deal with this now. Carl Reiner died. Carl Reiner died like 2 years ago. I always think of Carl Reiner and Mel Brooks as like the same. I didn't know. Mel Brooks is still alive. We know he's still alive. He just had a birthday. Carl Reiner died in 2020. I don't remember that happening. It must have been pandemic haze, right? Probably. It was on this day in 2020. Then, it was like, pandemic was real. Bubble, the NBA bubble was starting. So, dead on this day. Another guy I didn't even know died, but I assumed he had to die at some point. Died on this day in 2021. Donald Rumsfeld, old Rummy, Secretary of Defense from the first President W. Bush administration. Donald Rumsfeld, American captain, politician, 13th Secretary of Defense. He was born in 1932. Seriously, Rumsfeld, that would mean that Rumsfeld was not 100 when he became secretary. I thought he was like 100 years old when he became Secretary of Defense under Bush. He wasn't. He was probably just like 60. He just looked like he was 80. I don't know. All right, let's get into what's trending today. That's what we do here. We like to run through all the things that are trending, people making hay about, what's being discussed, what's being buzzed. NATO is trending across all platforms. Number one, NATO has linked a deal between Turkey, Sweden, and Finland. What this means. So Finland and Sweden wanted to join NATO, but Turkey was like, no. Turkey was going to be a dick about it. So basically, there's been a couple of months of negotiations, and Erdogan over there in Turkey, he worked out some deal where they're going to give him a whole bunch of like F-16s. So somebody's giving Turkey a bunch of warplanes, and Erdogan's going to allow Finland and Sweden to join NATO. There you go. That's why NATO is trending. Everything is transactional. Everything in this world is friggin' transactional. Migrants are trending. That terrible, terrible situation outside of San Antonio that was discovered yesterday where 50 some dead migrant workers in the back of a semi truck in Texas heat in June. Oh my God, a bunch of people injured. Just such a sick story. This big semi tractor trailer just packed with people. They used meat tenderizer, garlic salt, and steak seasoning to sprinkle. They sprinkled. Okay, so there was this truck, a semi tractor trailer. It was filled with people, and like 50 of them died, and there were still like 150 of them in there. And so there's like 50 dead bodies. They're all packed in there. The bodies are starting to rot. They're sprinkling steak seasoning over the body. Oh my God. The hell. Talk about things we take for granted. Earlier in the show, I was discussing how we take for granted our federal highway system and what it was like getting around before we had federal highways, before we could just drive from Dallas to Los Angeles. Good Lord, we take for granted. These people were in the back of a semi truck. These people were, I can't. Anyway, at any rate, they're just, and I don't know. It's like, the evil that the people put, there's a whole lot of evil to go around here in this situation. I just feel terrible for these people. Could you imagine your life being so bad that don't even imagine it. Anyway, the reason it's trending is because police down there in the San Antonio region, they've arrested 2 people. Look, this is not, I really hope that this isn't we got 2 people, we made 2 arrests, we're not like Uvalde. I hope it's not like one of those kind of deals, because first of all, they didn't get the people who are responsible for this. They didn't. They might be trying to tell us that they got the people who are responsible for this, but they didn't. You know what they did? They traced the plates that were on the semi-truck back to a house, and they went to that house, and they arrested 2 people at the house for having a couple of illegal guns. So they got them on gun charges unrelated to... Okay, if you think that the people who are responsible for upwards of 50 deaths of human beings are going to leave their license plates on the truck where those bodies are. You're a fool. You're a fool. God, that's silly. That is dumb. Obviously, you trace the plates that are on the truck back to a house. You would think, well, if you're dumb, I guess you would think that that's the people who did it. No, come on. They didn't leave their plates on the truck. This is a diversion. This is much higher up. Okay, so you got these two Yahoo on unrelated gun charges, but fine. There are people out there, somebody out there is still responsible for the deaths of 50 plus people who were just struggling to achieve some semblance of respect for their lives, for some hope for their children, they were just migrant workers. We are all human beings. We are not insects. I don't care. You're doing better than the next guy. That guy's not an insect because you drive a nicer car, because you have more money. We are all human beings. If you're a Christian, for crying out loud, you believe we're all created in God's image, right? So what? Some of us are insects? This is a tragedy. This is a really sick, sad situation. Ugh. Ken Paxton is trending. Lighten the load a little bit here. Quite literally. Ken Paxton is trending. He is the Secretary of State of Texas. He's trending on all platforms nationally, getting himself a little bit of a national look-see. Why? Because now that the Supreme Court is doing what the Supreme Court is doing, Ken Paxton, the Secretary of State of Texas, says he's got no problem prosecuting sodomy laws in the state of Texas. That's what this guy's getting. 50 miles from where he made that statement, like there's probably dozens of dead immigrant people in the back of a semi, and Ken Paxton wants you all to know, yeah, he's aware of that, but he's gonna come and arrest you for butt sex now. If you're having butt sex in Ken Paxton's Texas, Ken Paxton wants you all to know, we think that we're going to be able to uphold some sodomy laws that have been overturned by the Supreme Court in the past. They're going to start prosecuting sodomy. What is sodomy, pugs? Oh, look it up. It's gay sex. It's butt sex. It's butts. Just go with that. It's butt. That's what sodomy is. Sodomy is butt stuff. I mean, I know it can mean other things, and it's very sort of liberally used at times to depict all manner of sexual peccadillos within the law, but it's butt sex. That's what it is. Stop it. You're making it complicated. So there you go. So that's why Ken Paxton is trending. He's coming after. Oh, he's also coming after dildos. So if you're like a dildo manufacturer in the state of Texas, Ken Paxton's coming to shut you down. He believes in the free market only insofar as it doesn't pleasure women. That's Ghislaine Maxwell is trending. She was sentenced to 20 years in prison yesterday for her role in the Jeffrey Epstein situation. Parker and I talked about this last night on the Pugs and Parker show. 20 years, people are like, she only got 20 years. She should get more. This woman should be walking around. Ghislaine Matthews should be walking around. She shouldn't be doing any jail time. She should be hanging out, whether she wants to live anywhere. She should be just out there living her life, because she should have handed over the book and gotten immunity. I don't give a shit about Ghislaine Matthews going to prison for 20 years. I want to know who's in the book. I want to know the names of the people that Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein were taking out to Lolita Island, flying around on their little pedophile airplane. I want to know the people. That's all we should care about in this case. We shouldn't give a shit about Ghislaine Maxwell. Let's give Ghislaine Maxwell, let's give her Lolita Island. I'll tell you what, turn over the book, give us the names of all of the suspected, high-powered, extremely influential people who are mentioned in the book. Give us those names so that we can this is kids, right? What's happening here? As James and I theorized last night, they don't want that. No court in the world wants that. There are people who will be named and who will be brought down, who will be Jeffrey Epstein is hung in his jail cell because they're afraid that he's going to. Come on, there's something going on here. We need to know these names. But Ghislaine's going to get 20 years. She'll probably do 10. half of that 10 will probably be done in like a halfway rehab kind of a situation. And then, things will happen and she'll be out. She'll be out. Ghislaine Maxwell will be out, and we will never know the people that Jeffrey Epstein was running around with. Unbelievable. Never. That's it. End of story. Closed book. Done. Don't know. We're not going to know Trump's involvement with Jeffrey Epstein. We're not going to know the Clintons' involvement with Jeffrey Epstein. We're not going to know, James Parker pointed out last night, who's the guy, the comedian, Chris Tucker. Chris Tucker's involvement with Jeffrey Epstein. I mean, there are movie stars, there are film producers, there are people who've run for president, there are people who have been president, who have been rumored to have been associated with Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. Give us those names. I don't give a shit about his girl Friday. I really don't care that Ghislaine Maxwell is going to jail for 20 years. Give her blanket immunity and tell her to just start talking. Just get these names out. But they don't want the names out there. They don't want them. They don't want them. It's so gross. Speaking of gross, New Orleans is also trending. New Orleans is trending because the FBI has announced that they are going hard on the New Orleans Archdiocese, the Catholic Church down there in New Orleans. Apparently, they've been diddling kids for years. You don't say. You don't say. In the year 2022, you're breaking that there's a problem within the Catholic Church. The FBI has opened a widening investigation into sex abuse in the Roman Catholic Church in New Orleans, looking specifically at whether priests took children across state lines to molest them. Wouldn't put it past them. What are you going to do? It's good Lord. And it doesn't get better, folks. It does not get better because R. Kelly is trending. That's right. We go from Ghislaine Maxwell to New Orleans child pedophilia in the church to R. Kelly. R. Kelly is trending right now because R. Kelly is he going to be sentenced? Was he already sentenced? Folks, if he was already sentenced in the chat room, let me know because I know that this was coming down today. I just don't know if it's happened yet. R. Kelly to be sentenced today on racketeering sex trafficking charges. Good Lord, R. Kelly. Holy cow. I believe I can fly. R. Kelly could be sentenced to decades in prison Wednesday following his conviction in federal court last year on racketeering and sex trafficking charges. While prosecutors in New York have recommended the disgraced R&B singer be sentenced to more than 25 years, citing the need to protect the public from further crimes. Newly unsealed court documents revealed graphic details about Kelly's own childhood. Okay, so now they're going out with, so this story here, R. Kelly was abused as a kid. So now it's coming down to sentencing, and we're going to hear all about that, I guess, today. It's been 23 years since we knew each other, and you've victimized a lot of girls since then, one of his victims said, addressing Kelly. She later said, now it's your turn to have your freedom taken from you. Following the victim's testimony on Wednesday, the court took an hour break for lunch, after which U.S. District Court Ann Donnelly is expected to hand down Kelly's sentence, possibly including a fine. Okay, so maybe they're still at lunch. A jury convicted Kelly last September of 9 counts, including 1 charge of racketeering and 8 counts of violations of the Mann Act, a sex trafficking law. Prosecutors from the Eastern District of New York accused Kelly of using his status as a celebrity and a network of people at his disposal to target girls, boys, and young women for his own sexual gratification. I don't really know much about R. Kelly, and it's strange because he's a big musical star from my hometown, and I don't know really. Don't like his music. Like, I'm not an R&B guy. At least I'm not modern R&B. And yes, I would even consider R. Kelly's 90s stuff to be more modern R&B. Here's what I know. I know that in 1995, was it? 90, somewhere in the early 90s, mid 90s. I know that he married a 15-year-old girl. This was just like in the 90s, guys. R. Kelly was a dude in his 30s, a superstar, and he married a 15-year-old girl. And not just this wasn't Jerry Lee Lewis marrying his cousin Myra, who was not famous and often. He married Aaliyah. He married another famous person who was a well-known 15-year-old. My point is this. This happened in the 90s, and everybody just kind of went, "That's weird. Hey, isn't that illegal?" I guess it is. Oh, well. Well, what are you ordering for dinner? Nobody cared. Nobody cared. This happened in front of everyone. Didn't R. Kelly have an album that he put out shortly after that called Age Ain't Nothing But a Number? I mean, my point is this. R. Kelly has been operating above the radar for decades. I mean, this is like, we know what this guy is. Put him in jail and throw away the key already. We know who this guy is. He has shown us. You know, we all know about the urination. Oh, the PETA. That's just one thing. That's just, he's into some really weird stuff, and he victimized a lot of young, impressionable kids. Well, they were kids. They just wanted to be with a celebrity. Yeah, but they were kids. See, I don't give a shit about anything else. They were kids. And quite frankly, judging by a number of young people who I know today, I would consider anyone under the age of 22 to be a kid. I think we need to raise it from 18 to 22 because 18-year-olds are not like 18-year-olds in 1930. They're just not. 18-year-olds in 2022 are like 15-year-olds still. They're just not, they're not there yet. I'm not even all that comfortable raising it to 22. I think 30 should be honestly, I don't think you should be considered an adult until you're 30, but hey, I know that's not going to happen. So I'll compromise with 22 to start. But these were kids. He was into kids like 12 years old, 13 years old. Aaliyah was 15 when he married her. How long before that was he involved with her? All right, so we'll be looking to see. April says 7 women just got done giving victim statements. Okay. What else is trending today? Let's see. What else do we have? Oh, Vince McMahon is trending. Vince McMahon is trending. He got in trouble last week. In the out, like at WWE, like he's no longer. There was like a sex scandal, so he was having an affair with his secretary. Well, I'm being really reductive about this. She may have been like, someone who worked in marketing. I don't know. So he's having an affair with his secretary at work, and it's going fine. And then the secretary wants to leave. They stop having the affair, and the secretary wants to leave, and he gives her like millions of dollars. Even though she's just like a secretary, he gives her like a severance package that, did not befit her role. And she had to sign some kind of non-disclosure. And there was recently some audit going on of WWE books, and they found this, and now it's out, and he's been called in front of the board, and Vince McMahon had to step down. He's no longer the president or whatever. He's just, I don't know what's going on. But anyway, that's roughly that's the drunk history version of what I understand Vince McMahon's situation to be. Leading up till today, now we have this. WWE boss Vince McMahon's affairs nightmare continues as another accuser steps forward. Okay. Earlier this month, the Wall Street Journal reported that Vince McMahon allegedly had an affair with an employee, then agreed to pay her $3 million in hush money after she signed a non-disclosure agreement. This led to his resignation as CEO and chairman of WWE last week. An investigation has reportedly uncovered several older agreements related to misconduct claims that other female WWE employees brought against the 76-year-old McMahon. McMahon's nightmare continues as WWE's first female referee, Rita Chatterton, has claimed that she was raped by McMahon in the 1980s. Raped! The fresh claims led to Chatterton finding the courage to come forward 4 decades later. A report in the New York Post on Monday published quotes from Chatterton. She said, "He promised me $500,000 a year," referring to the contract offer McMahon extended over the phone following her television debut with the then WWF in January of '85. "I'll give you $500,000 a year," he says. McMahon called Chatterton to tell her he was impressed with her work and wanted her to go full-time, but had a warning for her. "Keep yourself clean," he said, according to Chatterton. "I don't want to see you messing around with any of the wrestlers. You keep it professional." McMahon also told Chatterton that she'd be on the cover of glossies like Women's Day, Better Homes and Gardens, and Time magazine, so she quit her job as a delivery driver with Frito-Lay and began to pursue wrestling full-time. But the relationship soured when the young ref tried to follow up and McMahon allegedly raped her in July of 1986. I'm sure others will come forward because we're not the only two. There's no doubt in my mind about that, Chatterton said. As far as wrestling goes, I guess I'm the first in a lot of things. As far as I know, I'm the first to come out with the whole issue of what a scumbag he is, she said. No, you're not. No, you're not. Look, God bless you, and I'm terribly sorry for whatever it is you may or may not have gone through. We'll let that hash itself out. But you're not the first person to let us all know that Vince McMahon is a scumbag. See, I don't get this. Nobody should be shocked by this, right? I mean, you see Vince McMahon. Oh God! But again, I felt this way with Trump. I thought everybody thought he was a goof. I thought everybody thought Trump was a goof. I thought that was our agreement from like 1985 all the way to like 2016. I thought we were all in agreement that Trump was a punchline, that he was funny, that he was silly, that he was a bigger than life sort of self-promoter and all. And then suddenly it turns out a lot of people don't see him that way. I thought everybody saw Vince McMahon that way as well. I look at Vince McMahon and I go, oh, I would not buy anything from him. This guy, I would never get into a business agreement with this guy. He gives those vibes. Vince McMahon gives those vibes. So to find out that, he's a predator with the women in his workplace, he's 76 years old. He comes from an era where grabbing a secretary's ass and all that was expected. Of course, I believe these things about Vince McMahon. Joe Burrow is trending. Here's an interesting couple of stories. This is really a couple of stories. Two people are trending. They're not even trending side by side. They're both independently trending. Joe Burrow, quarterback for the Cincinnati Bengals, is trending because Joe Burrow took to his Instagram account yesterday and he gave his opinion of the Supreme Court situation regarding Roe versus Wade. Now, Joe Burrow is a good all-American Christian boy from Ohio. Joe Burrow went to LSU. Down there, won a national title and a Heisman Trophy. He's playing in Jim Jordan, Ohio. And, Joe Burrow, a lot of people want Joe Burrow to be something for them. There are a lot of people who have a certain worldview who want Joe Burrow to sort of represent all of the things that God intends football to be and all of that good stuff. Joe Burrow went the other way. That's why Joe Burrow is trending. Joe Burrow is trending because he did it. He didn't have to do this. Boy, if I was in charge of Joe Burrow's big pile of loot, I'd be like, Joe, you don't have to hit send on that one. I mean, I understand how you feel and you want to make your feelings known and you feel you have a position of influence. You certainly have a lot of young fans. You want to let them know how you feel about this so that it might better shape their ideas of this issue moving forward. I get that, Joe. I get that. But you don't have to hit send. Joe Burrow sent out a very pro-choice Instagram message yesterday. It was beautiful. You can read it. You can find it. Just Joe Burrow's. Well, it was poetic. It was, I don't know if he wrote it. Maybe he did. And here's why. Typically, when you read these things from athletes that really impress you with the way that they're written out, you're like, he didn't write that. He had somebody write that. But that's almost always for when they're in trouble or when they're trying to fix a situation that they have themselves created. There was no situation here. This is just Joe. I believe this was Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow speaks out on Supreme Court ruling overturning Roe versus Wade. Last Friday, the United States Supreme Court overturned Roe versus Wade, paving the way for abortion to be banned in the United States. Shortly after the ruling, Ohio enacted a law that makes abortion illegal once a fetal heartbeat is detected. Today, Cincinnati Bengals quarterback Joe Burrow is speaking out in an Instagram story posted Monday. Burrow made it clear where he stands on the abortion debate, noting several examples in which it is justified. Joe Burrow says, I'm not pro-murdering babies. I'm pro-Becky, who found out at her 20-week anatomy scan that the infant she had been so excited to bring into this world had developed without life-sustaining organs. I'm pro-Susan, who was sexually assaulted on her way home from work, only to come to the horrific realization that her assailant planted his seed in her when she got a positive pregnancy test that resulted a month later. I'm pro-Teresa, who hemorrhaged due to a placenta abruption causing her parents, spouse, and children to have to make the impossible decision on whether to save her or her unborn child. I'm pro Kathy, who had her innocence ripped away from her by someone she should have been able to trust, and her 11-year-old body isn't mature enough to bear the consequences of that betrayal. It goes on. Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow. You don't need to be wading out into this shit, Joe. And here he is. And now he's taking all kinds of, some people, Joe Burrow is a hero. Some people, Joe Burrow is a demon. He came out. He made his opinion known. The usual suspects are telling him to stick to playing football. That's always when it's convenient for them, they'll say that. But yeah, so there you go. So Joe Burrow is trending for coming out and being pro-choice, despite all indicators suggesting that maybe Joe Burrow was going to be, red hat. Maybe you'd see a red hat in Joe Burrow's locker. Maybe somebody, but apparently no. Now, also trending with Joe Burrow, actress Kimberly Elise. Kimberly Elise. I know the name, and I don't need Google search her. Kimberly Elise. She's an actress. She's been in a whole bunch of things. You'll see her. You'll go, oh yeah, I know her. She is trending because she also decided to make her feelings on the Roe versus Wade situation known. Kimberly Elise, however, she's on the other. She is celebrating. Kimberly Elise thinks that it was a great decision. She's pro-life and blah, 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 and all this kind of stuff. And she, too, is getting both hammered. She's mostly getting hammered, though. I mean, she's trending mostly because... But it's just interesting to me that you got two celebrities who are trending right now. And they're not even trending in conjunction with each other. A lot of times they'll trend together. These two are not. These two are trending independent of one another's stories, and yet they're essentially the same story. They're just on different sides of it. And both of them are taking unbelievable incoming and also receiving some praise. But it's interesting. Taco Bell is trending. Taco Bell is trending today. Why? Why is Taco Bell trending? Why? Because they created another crazy-ass Taco Bell invention. Taco Bell is good at these things. Was it maybe 5-10 years ago now? When somebody at Taco Bell finally went, hey, why don't we make these taco shells Doritos? And so now you got Dorito Locos Tacos, which are amazing. I love Doritos Locos Tacos. They do. The master of the One Percenter compound where we do all these productions from, he lives in the big house across the way. Has a theory that everything at Taco Bell tastes the same. Like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you get. It's going to taste exactly the same. And he's not wrong. I have tested that theory. You can eat a tostada and you'd be like, and then you eat a taco and they taste the same. That's like the same flavoring. It's like I'm getting the same whole thing in my mouth. No matter what it is that I eat, I've got the entire menu of Taco Bell in front of me. No matter what it is that I taste, I'm going to have that same taste in my mouth. It does not matter what you order. However, they do have a new one, and maybe I'll try it. You know how I love the food porn? Well, here's some good food porn for you. It comes out of Dateline, Irvine, California. Taco Bell is known for its cheesy, delicious food, but their new collaboration may blow customers away with its amount of cheesiness. After the success of the fast food company's Doritos Locos Tacos, and they are a success, they are good, Taco Bell and Cheez-It are working together to make the restaurant's newest menu item, and it involves an enormous Cheez-It. The new Big Cheez-It Tostada features Taco Bell's ground beef, sour cream, diced tomatoes, lettuce, cheddar cheese, and a Cheez-It square that is 16 times bigger than your regular Cheez-It. So it's just like a giant Cheez-It. It's like a big Cheez-It with a tostada on it. Gotta be honest with you, that does not sound terrible to me. I would try that. I would absolutely try that. TikTok is trending. Are you on TikTok? Are you on the TikTok? I'm not really on the TikTok. I want to be on the TikTok. I see people, a lot of people I follow are on the TikTok, and I see them on Twitter, and they're having fun on the TikTok, and I'm like, I want to be on the TikTok. The TikTok sounds fun. And then, like I hear all of this stuff and I'm like, oh wait, but maybe I don't need to be on the TikTok, because maybe the TikTok is really just a communist thing and it's China, and maybe I don't want to be on the TikTok. So I go back and forth. But people seem to enjoy the TikTok, and it seems like I could be very creative. Seems like I could come up with some very interesting things to do on TikTok. With that said, today TikTok is trending because TikTok should be banned from Apple and Google stores over data concerns. This, according to the FCC commissioner. Popular video sharing app TikTok is a wolf in sheep's clothing that should be removed from the Apple and Google app stores, FCC Commissioner Brendan Carr said in an open letter on Tuesday. Carr, the Federal Communications Commission's senior Republican member, called for the ban in a letter dated June 24th and addressed to Apple CEO Tim Cook and Google CEO Sundar Pichai. Whatever. Carr's letter made the heavy reference to a recent report detailing leaked audio and internal meetings among American TikTok employees, revealing that China-based employees of parent company ByteDance had regular and sweeping access to non-public U.S. user data. Carr, FCC commissioner, Carr likened TikTok's video and meme sharing features to sheep's clothing, meant to distract. All right, we don't need to get into the weeds on this. There you have it. We're back. Oh, I don't need to know why people who understand this stuff have concerns. Really, all I need to know is that people who understand this stuff have concerns. It's good enough for me. It's good enough for me. I don't need to get into the weeds as to, data collection and all. I don't know what any of that shit means. Whatever. If I trust, see, this is me. Look at me having faith in institutions. If you're somebody and you have diplomas on your wall that tell me that you went someplace and you studied something specifically and you know specifically a whole lot about this one particular thing. Me, I can admit that, yeah, I don't know much about that one particular thing, but you do, so I'm going to listen to you. That's having faith in institutions. That's how we used to operate in this world. We don't do that anymore. No faith in institutions. Just YouTubers, just faith in YouTube streamers and AM talk radio hosts. That's it. And maybe the odd primetime Fox News guy. I don't know. But stop it. Experts are telling me that I should have concerns about the way China uses the data that I engage. That's fine. That's fine with me. If experts have this concern, then we're good. NBA free agency is trending. NBA free agency is trending. This is a free agency opens tomorrow. We had the NBA draft last week. And I was talking about during the draft how I enjoy the NBA draft. I don't enjoy it as much as the NFL draft because nobody does a draft process like the NFL. The NFL just owns that. That's good for them. They got it. But one of the things that the NBA has been able to do, they've almost admitted, the NBA, that they can't compete on draft night. It's one round. The NBA is one round. We can do one night. We can't do a full weekend. It's not going to be the event. It's not going to be the travel thing. People travel to the NFL draft. You know what I mean? It's not going to. The NBA draft is not going to do that. So, the NBA is focusing on the All-Star games, which are always crazy. They're the craziest of the All-Star games. And the free agency process. The NBA over the past couple of years has just suddenly created this insane free agency in the NBA is exciting. Now, for me, I'm a Bulls fan. My big concern is, are we going to give Zach LaVine the max contract? We say we are. He says he's going to sign it. So, okay. So that's all we care about. We don't want to see Zach LaVine, going to the Lakers or anywhere. No, we need him back. Here in Dallas, we got bigger concerns. We got the whole Jalen Brunson situation that is not feeling so great. So Jalen Brunson, here's what I don't get. Okay, so Jalen Brunson, of course, of the Mavericks. He's a free agent, and it looks like he's going to the New York Knicks. Looks like he's going to leave Luka. He's going to leave this team. All the promise, all that stuff. Jalen Brunson is probably going to go. He's going to sign with the New York Knicks. The New York Knicks have been for days now offloading players and contracts to make room for some pretty big signings and some pretty big moves. And quite frankly, looking at what the Knicks have been, I think the Knicks are going to be good. Now, here is the thing. Not good, they look like they're seriously rebuilding something here. They look like they've got at least a plan in place, which they haven't for 20 years. So I'm hearing like a lot of people like hard talk, true talk. I'm hearing a lot of people saying, especially here in local sports radio, why would Jalen Brunson want to leave the Dallas Mavericks for the New York Knicks? And I can't believe that's a serious question. Are you kidding me? Why would Jalen Brunson want to leave the Dallas Mavericks to go play for the New York Knicks, a rebuilding? Well, I mean, where do you want to start? First of all, he doesn't want to play under Luka. This guy has an opportunity to go to New York and be the centerpiece, be the person that they go to for the first option, to be that guy in New York City, one of the globe's premier destinations, one of the most important cities in the entire world. He has an opportunity at 25 years old to go make $100 million plus playing basketball in one of the world's basketball capitals, and he gets to be the man on a team that's rebuilding. Or he can come back here, he can sign a deal, a nice deal. He'll still be rich. He'll live here in Dallas, a football town, and he'll play in the shadow of Luka. So there you go. That's a reason why he might want to leave. I mean, all things being considered. And by the way, isn't Jalen Brunson from the East Coast? I mean, I know that he played high school in Illinois. He played in the Chicago area, played his high school ball, but I thought he was like from New York or New Jersey or something like that. I don't know. I mean, he's never going to be, he's always going. Luka is the guy here. Luka. Build around Luka. That's fine. Every Mavericks fan, myself included, we're totally fine with that. But don't act like it's insane or it's some great betrayal for a 25-year-old kid to want to go live in New York City with $100 million in his pocket. Come on, man. That ain't crazy. This is a football town. It would be different if he was leaving the Cowboys to go play for the Jets. That's different. This is the NBA. These are the New York Knickerbockers. Do you know the guy, the 25-year-old kid who walks into the New York Knicks organization today and is a part of that rebuild and brings a championship to the city of New York? Do you know what that dude's life is going to be like 35 years old plus? I mean, he's a New York celebrity for life. Ask Reggie Jackson how that kind of shit works out later in life. I mean, just saying. All right, that's why NBA free agency is trending. There's a whole bunch of deals going on. We don't have time for it. We talked a little bit about the Mavericks and a little bit about my Bulls, and that's it. We'll move on. Dakota Johnson. Dakota Johnson is trending. You know, I did not like Dakota Johnson was not somebody that I took to right away. I was like, Again, I'll go back to my Hollywood story. Everybody who's famous in Hollywood is connected somehow to somebody in some way. Some people more in your face than others. Dakota Johnson is one of those people who is just, what was she going to do? What was Dakota Johnson going to do? Was she going to run a counter at a Meineke muffler shop when her mom is Melanie Griffith and her dad is Don Johnson? No, of course not. Of course not. She's not going to be a regional manager at Target, okay? And her mom is Melanie Griffith and her dad is Don Johnson. So I had that problem with Dakota Johnson. But I kind of like her. She's been around long enough now. She's seems got a nice personality. She seems to be fun, and she is not afraid to talk. She is talking, and guess who she is taking down? She is taking down Alfred Hitchcock. Dakota Johnson, Don Johnson's daughter. All right, so here's how it works. This is why it's complicated. So Dakota Johnson is the daughter of Don Johnson and Melanie Griffith. Melanie Griffith is the daughter of Tippi Hedren. Okay. Tippi Hedren was an actress back in the 50s and 60s. She was known as Hitchcock's muse. Tippi Hedren, was she in Marnie too? She was in The Birds famously. She's the woman that was attacked by the birds in the Hitchcock movie. The birds. She was the star of The Birds. That's Tippi Hedren. That is Melanie Griffith's mom. That is Dakota Johnson's grandma. So Dakota Johnson is apparently just going off on Alfred Hitchcock and how terrible he was to his grandma and how much the whole family just despises Alfred Hitchcock, which I thought was kind of interesting. Dakota Johnson said that renowned filmmaker Alfred Hitchcock once sent it gets complicated here. Dakota Johnson said that Alfred Hitchcock once sent a miniature of her grandmother, Tippi Hedren, in a coffin to Melanie Griffith as a child. So as a child, Alfred Hitchcock sent as a present to a young Melanie Griffith. Alfred Hitchcock sent as a gift to a young Melanie Griffith a toy that was Melanie Griffith's mom, Tippi Hedren, in a coffin. Hey, that's Uncle Alfred. That's real nice. Tippi Hedren, Dakota Johnson's grandmother and the mother of actress Melanie Griffith. Hedren was famously Hitchcock's muse, appearing in multiple Hitchcock films. However, in her 2016 memoir, Tippi, Hedren wrote that the filmmaker terrorized her for years after she rejected his sexual advances. She also accused Hitchcock of sexually assaulting her and ruining her career by stopping other filmmakers from hiring her. During an interview with Vanity Fair, Dakota Johnson, Tippi Hedren's granddaughter, said that her mom, Melanie Griffith, received the creepy mini coffin as a Christmas gift from Hitchcock when she was just a young child. It's alarming and really, really dark. That's sad for a little girl, Johnson said. That's really scary. Johnson added, "What happened with my grandmother was horrific because Hitchcock was a tyrant. He was talented and prolific and important in terms of art, but power can poison people." During the interview, Dakota Johnson also recalled attending a screening of the Emmy-nominated HBO movie The Girl, which depicted Hitchcock's obsession with Hedren. You ever seen that movie, The Girl, on HBO? It's good. It's about the making of the Birds. It's not a documentary. It's like actors playing. Like there's an actress who plays Tippi Hedren. There's an actor who plays Alfred Hitchcock. It's about the making of the Birds. It's really good. Hitchcock was a dick to Tippi Hedren. Dakota Johnson said that neither she nor her grandmother, who attended the screening of the HBO movie with Johnson, were warned about the film's content. Oh, apparently Dakota Johnson, Melanie Griffith, and Tippi Hedren all went together to watch the HBO movie, and they didn't know what it was going to be about, and it was about how horrible Grandma's life was when she was a hot 25-year-old girl in Hollywood. It was one of those moments where you're just like, how could you not have warned us? Dakota Johnson said about the HBO screening. We're in a room with a whole bunch of execs. Maybe this warranted a little conversation beforehand. You look over and I see a woman who's just been reminded of everything that she went through all those years ago. It was heartbreaking. She was an amazing actress, and Hitchcock, stopped her from having a career. This is my grandma we're talking about. And to see her going through that was unexcusable. Oh, God. Okay. All right, whatever. Sounds like Hitchcock was a bad guy. I have no doubts. Who's the Boss is trending today. Who's the Boss? Remember I come from the 80s. Do you? Who's the Boss? The show, who you got in Who's the Boss? You got Tony Danza. He plays Tony Micelli. Tony Danza famously only plays Tonys because sometimes he has difficulty remembering that he's a different character. So they just name every character Tony. You had Sam, his daughter, Sam Micelli. That's Alyssa Milano. You got Judith Smart. She was Angela. She's still around. Katherine Hellman. She played Mona, the grandma who lived in the house. Mona's no longer around, so you can't hear. What about the kid? I don't remember what the kid's name is. Jonathan, right? Yeah, I don't know. So anyway, they're rebooting it. They're rebooting Who's the Boss. It's going to be on this Freebie network, whatever it is. I don't know. I have no idea what it is. I've never heard of it. But here's what they need to do. Okay. This is why I need to be in charge of a network, because unfortunately what they're going to do is they're going to make a 30-minute sitcom that is really friggin' stupid, and it's going to be dumb, and it's going to be, hey, it's Who's the Boss, except they're all older now, and this is what they're doing now. And that is like the absolute worst way you can go with this reboot. You want to know how you do a Who's the Boss reboot? Here's how you do the Who's the Boss reboot. You do it as an hour. Dramedy. That's right, a family hour dramedy. Who's the Boss? You keep that title because the title still works. Dude, this is the same thing that the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air just did to great success on Peacock Network. They took a half-hour 1990s situation comedy and they rebooted it as a 1 hour sort of more dramatic, this comedy, but it's more of like, those kinds of shows. So here's what Who's the Boss needs to become. You ready for this? Who's the Boss needs to become equal parts Who's the Boss, because we're going to stick with the main framework. It needs to be an hour, but then it needs to go down the whole This Is Us route. Okay. And here's what the new premise of Who's the Boss is. Okay. All these years later, here is the premise. We don't need Angela. We don't need Angela. We can write her out. We don't need her. This needs to be about the relationship between Sam, Alyssa Milano, and Tony, her dad, right? Who's the boss? It used to be Who's the Boss between Tony and Angela. Hey, I'm Angela. I'm the house owner and you're the housekeeper, but you're the man and gender roles dictate you should be who's the boss, right? That was the whole thing. So in this version, the Who's the Boss is now about Alyssa Milano, the daughter who has taken in Tony into her home, her dad, because he has dementia. We deal with the whole aging parent thing. We get real This Is Us. We can do flashbacks. There are all kinds of opportunities to show, this is the way they ought to do it. But they won't. They'll do it as a half hour with a canned laugh track, and it'll be stupid, and it'll run for 10 episodes, and nobody will see it. You do it my way. You make Who's the Boss as like a serious 1 hour family tearjerker drama about an aging dad who we all love because we remember Tony Maselli back in the 80s on Who's the Boss. We remember what kind of a dad he is. Now we see him. He's bedridden. He's got dementia. There's moments for comedy in there. Come on. We have an aging population in this country. Do you want to have a hit? Who do you think watches TV? Old people. Old people will watch this. Who's the boss? Now it pertains to who's the boss? Tony with dementia or Sam? And what is Sam? What did Sam Maselli grow up to be? Something important, right? Like give her like a cool job because she's got to have a nice house. And you have a wacky nurse. Oh, you have a nurse that comes in and takes care of Tony. You don't have Mona anymore, so you're going to need sort of this crazy. You get a wacky nurse. Maybe she's maybe Tony's a little racist in this dimension. I don't know. Maybe you get that whole dynamic going where there's a friendship, there's a distrust at first between the Haitian nurse and old school Tony Maselli. But then they become close. And I don't know. I'm just saying. That's why Who's the Boss is trending. You know any movie or film or TV development executives, you point them my way. You tell them, look, I've got a whole treatment for how you need to go with the reboot of Who's the Boss. Jeopardy is trending. Jeopardy is trending because we're getting down to the point now where we're going to have to decide on who's going to host that show. Is it going to be Ken Jennings or is it going to be Mayim Bialik? I don't know. I don't care. Mayim Bialik is talking. She's saying that fans are being really mean to her. She's great. She's great. Look, I don't watch a whole lot of Jeopardy. Why you got to be mean to Mayim? She's fine. She's fine. I personally, like if it's one man, one vote, I'm voting for Ken Jennings because I love Ken Jennings. I think Ken Jennings is great. But that doesn't mean why we all live in these zero-sum existences, don't we? Why does preferring Ken Jennings mean you have to hate Mayim Bialik? I don't hate her. I'd be totally fine with her. If they decided that they would go with Mayim Bialik, I'd be like, I'd have voted for Ken, but okay. Everything is zero sum. Everything is, she sucks. She's the devil. Or on the other side of it, he sucks. Stop it. They're both fine. They're in good hands. Jeopardy is in good hands. Whatever they're going to do, they got two capable people who are, doing fine. And there's other people that can do it too. By the way, got some news for you, Jeopardy folks. The success of Jeopardy has very little to do with the host. I know, Alex Trebek. Oh, he's the reason we tuned in. No, it's not. If Alex Trebek was reading the phone book every day at 3:30 Central Standard Time, you wouldn't tune in. You were tuning in for the game. You were tuning in for the questions. You were tuning in for the competition. The host, we really shouldn't be putting this much thought into the host thing. It's just my 2 cents. Herschel is trending. Somebody named Herschel. Herschel is trending. Why is Herschel trending? Why is the name Herschel trending? Well, I'll tell you, because Woody Herschel Williams has passed away today. Woody Herschel Williams, he's America's last and oldest and lone remaining World War II Medal of Honor winner. He died. He was 98 years old. Let's learn a little bit about Herschel, shall we? Herschel Woody Williams, America's last surviving World War II veteran to have received a Medal of Honor, has passed away, surrounded by family, on Wednesday morning. Williams 98 was the last of 473 American service members who received a Medal of Honor in World War II. Williams spent his final days with family at a hospital in his home state of West Virginia. There you go. All right, whatever. He wanted. Good for him. Good for him. And that era is done. That era is done. No more living World War II Medal of Honor winners. Is there anybody from World War II left? Probably, right? No. Yeah, no, nobody. You couldn't have fought in World War I and still be alive, right? You couldn't. Because World War I, 1915, let's say that all started. So let's say that you were 15. So you'd be 122 years. There's nobody from World War I left. I wonder how many people from World War II are left. I mean, I know this passing here marks the final World War II Medal of Honor winner to pass. But what about just World War II soldiers? How many of those guys left? How many of those we got? And how far are we from like the last one of those guys? All right, so that's a little bit different. So if you went into World War II, let's say you were born in 1920, okay? So 1920, World War II, No. Okay, let's say you were born in like, let's say you were one of those dudes who joined World War II when he was 13. So let's say 1927. So let's say you were born in 1927. And you're almost 100 years old. Those people can still be alive. All right. Anyway, I was just wondering. Just didn't mean to go off on a little bit of a tangent there. It's just that, we're done. That's it. That's all I have prepared for you for today. Those are all the trending topics that I was able to find. Let me quickly just pop around and see if we've got anything new to report. By the way, bottom of the screen right there, tip the show, please. Treat me like your bartender. Treat me like your barista. This show runs on your gratuities. Anything you can drop in the tip jar would certainly be appreciated. We do 2 shows a day. High noon, right here at noon every day. This is about trending topics and headlines and current events. And then we come back at 9 o'clock and we do the Pugs and Parker proudly present Pillow Talk. Radio Shack is trending. Why is Radio Shack still a thing? I don't know. Is Radio Shack still a thing? I mean, I know Fort Worth, right? Fort Worth-based company. But I wouldn't know what I would go to a Radio Shack for. Honestly, I never went to a remote control cars. I worked in radio. We can go to Radio Shacks. Never went to don't you know about Radio? Yeah, I work in radio. The shit's already assembled. When I show up, I put on headphones and it's already put together. I don't need to go down to the Radio Shack and, bring my own flange nuts or whatever you need. So I don't know that much about Radio Shack. I don't know if it's still around, but here's why it's trending. Apparently Radio Shack, maybe their Twitter account got hacked. Maybe Radio Shack just tweeted out on the official Radio Shack account, if you find a squirter, marry her. So I'm guessing Radio Shack got hacked. Just a guess. Just throwing it out there as a possibility. All right, let's see what else we got here. What else is all right, looks like Mo Bamba's on the move. The Orlando Magic aren't expected to tender a qualifying offer to Mo Bamba by the end of Wednesday, which will make him an unrestricted free agent on Thursday. This is only important because I know that my bullies are looking at Mo Bamba as a rim protector. Let's see. Justice Breyer is trending. New Justice Breyer has sent a letter to President Biden informing him that his retirement will be effective 24 hours from now. Whoa! Hold on. Whoop, whoop, whoop. This seems to be some major, or maybe not. Was it expected? Because this is the end of the Supreme Court. Justice Breyer is stepping down. So, Biden's gonna get another Supreme Court justice. Yeah, Justice Breyer has sent a letter to President Biden informing him that his retirement will be effective 24 hours from now. He'll be out there. He'll have the go-go's cranked up. He'll have like Vacation. Saturday. He'll be out there water skiing on Saturday. He's going to leave all this nonsense behind. Justice Breyer's retirement to take effect on June 30th. Ketanji Brown Jackson prepared. This is the fill-in. Okay, we already got this one filled in. We knew about this. All right, never mind. Forget it. I was confused. What else do we have here? Boom, boom. Cameron Diaz is trending. Cameron Diaz to unretire. She was retired? I thought she just couldn't get work. I thought Cameron Diaz turned 40 and just, the work dried up. Because that's the reality for female actors. Especially extremely gorgeous ones like Cameron Diaz. They turn 40 and the work dries up. Cameron Diaz to unretire via Netflix action comedy Back in Action with Jamie Foxx. All right. I like Cameron Diaz. I got no problem with Cameron Diaz. Well, welcome back. Didn't know you were gone, but welcome back. Julia Roberts is trending. Julia Roberts and George Clooney reunite in the trailer for rom-com Ticket to Paradise. I'll pass. I'm good with rom-coms. I'm good. I am good with rom-com. R. Kelly trending again. R. Kelly is set to be sentenced in a Brooklyn court. Candace Parker records her 1,500th career point. That's it. All right, there you go. That's about all we got for today. I appreciate you joining me. We do this every day, Monday through Friday. We try and run through all the topics and all the things that make today great. They're great. And hold on, let me get to this. There we go. Monday through Friday. Although remember, folks, this Friday, no show this Friday. I've got, we're kicking off the weekend. We got things, we're doing stuff. I do apologize. No high noon show on Friday. Obviously no high noon show on Monday because it's the 4th of July. You people won't be around to listen to it anyway. And then we'll be back with a regular schedule starting on Tuesday of next week. But again, just a reminder, there is no show this Friday. There is no high noon show this Friday. 4th of July weekend. Please tip the show. Please help the show out. I accept your gratuities. Cash App, Venmo, whatever it takes. End of the month. This show runs on your gratuities. I appreciate anything you can drop in. Yeah, Kenny, you can go. Appreciate you stopping by. Thank you so much. We'll be back tonight for Pillow Talk with Pugs and Parker. And that's it. That's all I got. I hope you guys are well. Appreciate you. And we'll talk later, and then we'll talk again tomorrow. Bye, folks. To be on guard, that is understood. It has been a journey, a multi-answer test. I am on a never-ending quest. Tomorrow is another day, the best is yet to come. I have found a different way, so baffling to some. I have got an old guitar, that is all I need. I don't need no 401, I don't have the greed. Down the road I'll travel, far from the comfort nest. I am on a never-ending quest. Tomorrow is another day, the best is yet to come. I have found a different way, so baffling to some. I can smile a little now, things are going good. I always had to be on guard, that is understood. Down the road I'll travel, far from the comfort nest. I am on a never-ending quest. I am on a never-ending quest.